Mm. Now, I want to go to the East, and I've talked about this on the show, and I've talked about this with you a little bit, but we didn't really get into it. I'm curious because you have much more experience obviously as a professional basketball player. I can only assume that if the Celtics bring Jayson Tatum back, everybody medical involved somehow thinks that this is okay. Okay and a good idea are two different things. I would have never dreamed of bringing him back out there this year. They seem like they're going to do it. And like the idea is, and I'm curious what you think about this, is if Jayson Tatum was going to come off the bench and be Vinny Johnson and just gun for 15 minutes a game, okay, maybe that works. But I don't I don't know how you just drop Jayson Tatum in coming off an Achilles with as much uncertainty as we'll have about what that means about what he has to provide. And everybody, like, I just feel like you look around, I'm like, oh, this is normal to everybody. I feel like I'm the crazy.
Well, first of all, thank you for giving me that experience of being a player. It's very rare that I get those kind of compliments from you, Bomani. But I like to go back to this. Celtics years ago had a player by the name of Isaiah Thomas, and he had an incredible year. He was building up, carried the team, dealing with so many emotional things. He lost his sister, and just certain things in life was taking a toll. But he gave his all to that organization, playing hurt. Now, as time went on, they found out that maybe he shouldn't have been playing. And I get it, this is a business. But at the same time, with I started off today, you and I were talking. I talked about how as you get older, you got to be able to conform with the newer nuances of whatever the game is, whether it's new offensive plays, whether it's different ways of handling a medical staff. But your investment is Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum is not a guy that comes off the bench. Jayson Tatum is an individual that's going to have the ball in his hands for quite some time because of how good he is. Now, if it's me, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of I want to protect my asset. Is it better for me to have him now, or let's start off with a week of training camp and go from there next season? Right now, they have a flow with how they do things. I played for the Miami Heat, and I remember when Alonzo Mourning started coming back to practice. He sat out because of the whole kidney issue and never knew if he would play again. But then he showed up at practice and he was doing conditioning drills and things like that. Then he started practicing with us. And at this time, Anthony Mason, rest his soul, was an all-star for us and our team MVP. He was playing the 4 position. Brian Grant was at the 5. I was at the 3. Eddie Jones at the 2, and Tim Hardaway was at the 1. And so Zoe starts practicing with us, and I'm like, Zoe's coming back. I don't know what to think of it because I'm the player. All I'm looking at from standpoint is, hey, it's Zoe. He's going to give us what he used to give us. Well, Zoe was coming off of a kidney transplant, and because of that, there were certain things we just didn't know if he would ever get back to that player. So I say that to share this. We play a game, we're incorporating Zoe back in. Mace is unhappy, not because he doesn't like him, but because the flow of the game changed. Now the ball was no longer in Mace's hands and Mace making decisions. Now Zoe is pounding the ball, getting to his shot, and it's created a disruption. Now everyone is suffering because of that. Maybe Zoe shouldn't have come back during the season quite like he did. Now I say, looking ahead, what if now Jalen's not able to get to touches, or not even Jalen? It's going to be a role player that's not going to get touches because Jayson is taking a bulk load of the shots. It's nothing against Jayson Tatum. It's just the disruption that happens during the course of a season, or let alone the chemistry of what you guys got going. Again, let me state this because somebody's going to hear this, Bomani, and say, Bruce Bowen say that Jayson Tatum shouldn't play because he's terrible. That is not what I'm saying. He has to go through a litany of different things. Do we trust the explosion again? And all the things of what happens during the course of games. How do you make the adjustment? I don't know if that's necessarily the thing, but if it's me, I'm protecting my asset, especially in today's game. And utilize this year off to allow him to kind of get his body back together and see the game in a different light.
Let me tell you, this is my feeling. If you're not going to play Jayson Tatum 36 minutes a game, I don't think you can put him in front of Joe Mazzulla, because that is a crazy person who really only knows how to go hard. And I say this as a compliment. Like, I can't believe how much I've come to, I don't know this man, but I've come to love him, right? Like, I appreciate there's an outright sincerity, and he's trying to win all of this. He a little different. You know what I mean? He ain't.
We like to call it no fluff.
Yes. There's no. That's all he knows is what is directly in front of him. That is all it is. But you're not gonna give him Jayson Tatum and he'll be like, "Cool, I'll just play him 10 minutes." He doesn't. He can't. His brain does not operate like that.
Can I just give you this, Joe? When Joe was at West Virginia, he didn't play a lot his freshman year, sophomore year. He didn't play a whole lot, but he got to start against Kentucky in the NCAA tournament, I believe it was. And they beat him, and he had 17 points. But what he talked about in his post-game interview, it wasn't, coaches finally realized what I could do, and I'm just happy I got a chance to do it. That wasn't what he said. What he talked about, he said, my freshman year, because of our length, I said, man, we could be a really good 1-3-1 zone team. And if we could just incorporate things because of our length. My point in all that, as when others are trying to get buckets, he's thinking about the game at another level. No fluff. He is about that life of, how can I make this group better? Oh, he's with me? Let's go. 38 minutes. Absolutely. 30 plus minutes. Because with coaches that are always thinking of making it better, they do not like seeing players that can't play suit up, because they will make the mistake and say, so-and-so, get in there for so-and-so. So for him, he doesn't need to see Jayson at all if he's not going to utilize him. Once he starts seeing Jayson, now it starts happening.
Sorry. And then somebody got to be the one to try to explain it to him.
Who gonna out-explain? Who gonna out-explain why
Brad
this is
can't
not
even
good?
do it. Yeah, Brad can't even explain that to him. And look, I give Brad credit. Ime, I think, was a fairly obvious hire. Or that was one that a lot of other people would have made. Now, when he hired Mazzulla, he was in a position where he kind of had to, because Ime, right? And I thought in year one, we were like, hey, I don't know about this. And in year two, when they brought Cassell in as an assistant, I don't know about you, but my thought was, your replacement is right there if you don't get this straight. And nope, it's worked. And then this year, this has been coach of the year level stuff that he has managed to done. Hey, dude, got to give it to Brad. Brad was like, nah, I think I see something in this dude.
Well, you think about Brad's mindset, how he thinks the game, and how he's a great thinker of the game. Even at Butler, what he was able to do there. So I think it gets kind of brushed off to the side of when they were putting a staff together, what Brad saw in Joe. He saw that person that we see now. And a lot of times in these situations, Brad is so proud of what Joe has been able to accomplish, not because it's tagged to him, but because these are the things that Brad saw. And Brad didn't know if Joe would ever get an opportunity within the Celtic organization to be able to do this. Now, that's not to say that Joe wouldn't have gone elsewhere and maybe had a head coaching opportunity, but within this organization, no one knew that the whole Ime deal would happen the way it did. So more than anything, Brad is thrilled with the mind that he knew Joe had, because we're talking about a guy in college again. Ain't nobody. I know my teammates weren't thinking about no doggone 1-3-1. I had some thugs. I had a guy hit our coach one time in practice, Bomani.
At Fullerton?
At Fullerton. Man, that was the last time I saw that brother. When he punched him, pow! And he walked straight out of the gym. Now, the coach was over there like, you. Yeah, I'm like, nah, coach, he went that way. Coach, your eyes are a little crossed right now. But that was the last time I saw that player. But, I had players like that. Guys weren't thinking on that level of like, there's only been few that I've been on the bench with. Like Jock Vaughn is another one that is a great thinker of the game. And to see him go back to Kansas now and possibly, lead that group, it only makes sense.
I want to ask you about the Pistons because I know Bruce Bowen well, and I know what kind of team that Bruce Bowen gonna like, and that is a Bruce Bowen team right there. I
Well,
see
you
you can't
see,
even sit still talking
I
about
can't. I
him.
can't. I will say this. I'm gonna go another direction. Of course, what Bickerstaff is doing there, I love it because he's just come in and connected with those guys. I think when it comes to NBA, it's truly about your connection with players. And it starts with Cade Cunningham. I saw Cade when he was a sophomore in high school. I used to work this or observe, like I said, work on accident. Whoops. But at the Nike Elite Camp, man, and he would compete against all these guards. And at that time, it was Jalen Green. He and Jalen Green were the 1-2-1-2. And Cade would come down, man, get an and one, and everybody and one. Cade get hit, he just turn around, run back on defense. And I saw it in him his senior year, then I saw it when he was at Oklahoma State. And I'm so proud of that group because of what he has as far as the leadership there. Detroit has always had great leaders, Joe Dumars, Chauncey Billups. And now you enter into the mix as players on the floor, Cade Cunningham. You take not Amir Johnson, it's his twin. What I
No, you're
forget.
talking about Asar.
Who, man, I'm like, how did you get two kids with all that athleticism? Him going up against Jalen Brunson last year has, again, I talked about we only learn in our failures. That moment in time will always be in his head. And that's only going to make him better. The big man down low. Man, I almost want to call him Orlando Woolridge because he looks so much like him with that zero. You talk about enforcer, you got to have somebody that got your back, man. And he for sure got everybody's back. Let him come on in here. I'll show you what I'm going to do to him. Where he got guys scared to drive the ball.
Well, and then they bring Stewart off the bench.
Come on,
Like it is
I had
amazing
it.
that
Stewart,
the Pistons. This is the third incarnation of this model that they have broken out of
it
a team.
works. Bomani, it works for them. I can't think of another organization other than San Antonio where you put a centerpiece as far as a big man and you build around it. It's the hard work. It's the lunch pail. I'm bringing my hard hat. It's those things that work in Detroit. You don't have Detroit as a, hey, we're going to get up and down. We want to shoot 27, 43s a game. No, that ends up just a bad team in the East. We have enough of that. So you get a team that can buy in on that aspect of things. We're going to work hard. We're going to do everything that we need to do with purpose. And I love what Bickerstaff and his staff is doing down there with that.
What you think about your man Stewart?
Which one?
Isaiah.
Ooh. I mean, Bomani, it seems like there's always mess. But the thing is, like he got a little Ron Artest in him from the standpoint that it's like, hey, come on back over here. Don't go over there. Don't go over there. But he's like, no, I got to go over there.
No, nobody ever called the cops on Rod. That dude for the Suns called the cops on him.
I mean, but now I know we joke about it, and that's all it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's jokes but somebody is able to connect with him, and this was his way to get in. And yes, you are an enforcer as well, but let's as they say with deli meats, let's curate it to a point where they're not calling the popo.
Right, like that's we gotta stop there. Because at first I was judging that man for calling 5-0, and then I think it was Obi Rod who hit me up and was like, "Nah, he the one that's in this situation." Right? Like apparently it sounded like he had been told that it was on site in perpetuity.
I know we come from that generation where there was a fight, but then they let it go. I think the worst one was Doug Christie and Rick Fox, 2
Yeah.
light-skinned brothers.
It
That
was
that's
very
that's
beige. It was beige rage. It was a lot
it
of
was
beige rage.
Beige Rage. I'd never heard that one. Beige Rage. But I mean, like, they really took that thing to another level because we pretty boys ain't supposed to do that. But can you imagine some of those folks that's like, yo, dog, I'm out of the mud. I don't care about this. When a person says they don't care or say less, that's bad news to me.